Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/relationships, where OP's cheating wife is now having a mental breakdown. Let's begin. I caught my wife cheating with a potential pedophile, and now, somehow, I'm the bad guy. Posted by Reddit user ReverLoki.
So where to begin? I caught my wife cheating back on June 23, 2023 in the morning. As her phone's alarm was going off, I grabbed it to shut off the alarm. As I put my thumb to the screen to silence the alarm, a text message came through and I opened it by accident. But that accident was the best thing that happened to me, as it was a message from her lover that she had spent the night 2 nights prior at his house, instead of her mother's like she said she was. Now that the background's out of the way, on to what's going on now. After learning the identity of her affair partner, after I was told by her numerous times that I didn't need to do a background check on him to be around our kids, that she had already done one and it came back fine, that he is currently under investigation for 18 counts of felonious sexual assault of a disabled minor over many years, from the age of 13 to 19, and he's currently awaiting trial. On top of that, she had him around our children at her mother's house, where she has stayed for dinner on multiple occasions, and he stayed the night. Mind you, we had not been apart less than a month at this time, and she was already bringing him around the girls and introducing him. She also has made multiple false police reports about myself, being both physically and mentally abusive to her and fabricating evidence. Because I have evidence of her cheating from prior affair, which she told the police I fabricated, so I have her in multiple lies on camera to a police officer filing a report. I have filed an emergency ex parte to keep her boyfriend away from the children, which was passed, but the other part of that was to give me primary custody, which was denied until the court date, which was supposed to be on the 20th of this month, but she hired a lawyer just before the court date, who then filed a continuance within 10 days of the court date, which is not supposed to be allowed, and it was passed. I am currently trying to get adultery added to the divorce paperwork, with her lawyer fighting feverishly to stop, as she filed without me with her boyfriend to pay for it for her.
OP, my first advice to you is to get a lawyer yourself. If you do this, she will get absolutely wrecked in the court proceedings with all of the evidence you have. Secondly, I want you to document everything. Third is to do everything in your power to get full custody and get that creep of a boyfriend of hers as far away from your girls as possible. Finally, get some grammar lessons. Learn what punctuation marks are. Good luck, man. And now for today's second story. I am trying to divorce my wife, but she doesn't want to. Posted by Reddit user Just Another Redditor.
Summary of the story. Yesterday, my wife confessed to me that she cheated on me almost a decade ago, before our marriage began. She was approximately 2 months pregnant when she confessed me that yesterday. I did not trust the paternity of the child for that, of course, nor believing it was only the first time she cheated. And hours later, that triggered an episode of stress that caused her to lose the baby. After that, my father-in-law picked her up and took her to his house from the hospital to rest there, while I dealt with my own feelings in my department, which is in my name. I'll be honest, I want to get a divorce, firstly because I don't trust that this was the only time she cheated on me, and secondly, because now I don't know if all her love for me was really love or just a feeling of guilt for fucking to another man. The fact is that both she and I are people who are in good physical shape. We have a good job position and separate finances. If we both get divorced, we can start from zero without problems. The problem is that she is determined to continue with the relationship. All day she has been writing to me to go see her and talk about it. I'm at my work. But the truth is that I don't want to see her. I've controlled myself a lot all this time, and I try to convince her that divorce is the best solution and that even it's something that benefits her more than me, but she doesn't want to listen to me. I just want a clean divorce because having separate finances, no children, and no property in both names is practically signing a couple of papers, and that's it. The problem is that she doesn't want to, and I don't know how else to try to convince her. In our country, an agreement of divorce takes less than a month if both parties are interested in finishing the marriage. I want to avoid a civil process because of the cost, both economic and emotional. I love her, but I don't trust her anymore, and I don't want to trust in her again. What can I do? How can I convince her? TLDR, I want to divorce my wife, but she doesn't want to.
OP, First of all, she has no power over what decision you can make. Secondly, you said it yourself. You can afford to start over. Just spend the extra money so you can cut that cancer out of your life, man. It's gonna be worth it. Look, I want you to listen to this comment by Reddit user PattSun.
This happened yesterday. Okay, stop. Convincing her is not your priority right now. It won't work anyway. You both had a huge upset, and this is not the moment to go into the practicalities of the thing. I understand your mind is going a mile a minute, and you feel sure about your next steps. That's fine. They will be there next week, too. For now, you need to pause for a moment and focus on yourself. First things first, tell your wife not to come home because you don't want to see her. If necessary, make arrangements for someone to pick up stuff she needs. Be not there when that happens. If you happen to be there, do not get pulled in discussions with anyone. Say, I'm not going to discuss it. Pick a time for when you contact her again, whatever feels good to you, and tell her that. Maybe a week. If you want to keep communications open for her in the meantime, pick a channel. Something that is not immediate for you, like email. No messaging. If you block her, tell her so too. It's clear and fair. Contact a friend, or a therapist, or a family member, someone that you can confide in who's neutral. Talk to them. Rant and rage. Process. Take a breath. Then contact a lawyer. If you still want to do this in a week, or 2, or 4, the divorce option is still there. I know it feels hugely important now to act, to do something. You want to break it off now, and she is in your way. But talking to her about this at this moment is useless. It is too fresh and you are in completely different spaces. When you speak to her next, it needs to be by appointment. Then is the time to communicate where you both are and see where you go from there. Edit, for the record, I'm not saying you don't know your own mind. I am just saying that acting on that immediately while in a pressure cooker of emotions like this won't get you anywhere good. Taking care of yourself is your priority. Proper distance from your wife will help with that. The rest can wait.
And now for today's final story. I'm glad that my wife died. Should have seen it coming. Posted by Reddit user Big Bread Fruit.
New here but lurking for a time, but I just want to vent. I dated my wife is 18 and I'm 25 for a year. Neither was our first relationship. She stated she couldn't get pregnant and we did it like rabbits for a year. She got pregnant so we got married. 2 years later we had another, both girls, and decided to have her tubes tied. Everything was fine until the girls were 13 and 10. At that time she went to work managing a kitchen. Then the plant closed, and I was offered a transfer to another state. I was going to accept it, but she said just send your paycheck home. I should have started seeing the red flags at that point, but I didn't. Should have seen the other red flags like she wouldn't show any affection, wouldn't hold my hand in public, and never kissed me. She was not emotional at all. When her dad died, she didn't show any grief or cry. After some time from a dead bedroom, she became distant. I started a new job as a facility manager for a prison, single maintenance man, on call 24/7. She continued to cook and clean the house but never talked to me. About 7 years later she moved into the other bedroom, no communication, no sex at all. Should have seen it then. She stated she was having the change at 45 and at that time, I was working a lot and not seeing her except for dinner. I got called out a lot since I was the single maintenance man. We started raising our grandson who was born to my oldest daughter, so he slept with her continuously. Still a dead bedroom, no sex for 12 years, no intimacy, very little talk. But she continued to work mostly afternoons and evening running the kitchen. One night at 3 in the morning my grandson called me from the other bedroom and said Grandma had fallen. I ran in and she was out laying on the floor, eyes glazed and had wet herself, no response. Called the ambulance to take her to the hospital. She quit breathing. Found out at the hospital that a vein had burst in her brain and was brain dead. Took her off life support and she passed at 4 in the afternoon. After everything had settled, I took custody of my grandson and started raising him by myself. Started cleaning things and found that she had had at least 3 affairs if not more. One with a person who was an alcoholic. She gave away my tux to him. He would get drunk and she said she just walked him home 2 blocks away on various days. He passed 2 years later. Then I found a 12 inches rubber dildo that upon checking has been given to her by another man. Now I ask, who would give another man's wife that if they didn't have relations? I still didn't see the red flags, but during that time I had a heart attack. Minor but still had some problems. So about 2 years later, she said she was pregnant again. I didn't know how that was possible. It said 17 years. Took her to the hospital. Turns out she had an infection, probably an STD, again. I loved my wife and didn't see the red flags. She just stated it was an infection. After talking to my daughter, she told me my wife was talking about getting a divorce because she thought I was cheating. Isn't that what cheaters say to cover their tracks? I never cheated on my wife, although I could have many times, but I still loved my wife. My wife was my love and best friend when we got married, so I had a hard time believing all this was going on right under my nose. It's been 10 years since she passed. I still miss her. Everyone says leave it be. It's past, but I still cry and have a hard time with all the facts that she would do all this to me. I didn't see it, none of it, until she passed. My sister says to forget it, but I can't, and it still bothers me to this day. I am taking anxiety medication because my mind just won't stop thinking about it. I thought of suicide many times, but I have my grandson to finish raising. Does the pain ever go away? Many of the people she is working with are either dead or won't talk to me about it. They were all cheating on their husbands and covering for each other. Sorry for the rant. Very small town, no counselors available to talk to. I just can't forget the betrayal and lies I discovered about. I guess the guilt and lies at karma got her in the end. She was only 52. Wish she would have just came to me and told me. It would have killed me, but at least I could have closure and know all the facts. It still hurts me to this day. Only 4 more years till my grandson is 18, then I guess I could check out. Sorry for the rant, just had to tell someone.
I don't mean to rub salt on your wounds, OP, but if that was your wife's behavior all throughout your marriage, then there is a high possibility that your daughters may not actually be yours. Also, were you blind for decades? Anyways, enjoy your new life without a cheater. It's perfectly okay to be glad that she's dead. She mistreated you for literal decades, man. Go out and live again. You deserve it. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.